IVM.
In 2019, you basically have two choices. You can either go for therapy or start your own podcast. I'm Natasha Malpani Oswal, and this is my personal diary. I wrote a very honest poetry book called Boundless this year, where I poured my deepest and darkest fears into the poems. I'll take you through some of my favorite poems and the secrets behind them in this podcast. We explore falling in love, the dark side of beauty, families, money, making room to make mistakes, heartbreak, and finding your own voice. Don't say I didn't warn you. It gets deep. Today, we're going to talk about how you can magically make your life easier just by simplifying your thoughts. Healthy. I'm constantly reminded of the rarity of the rudeness of your emotional health. As tough, as resilient, as rubber. When did you learn to bounce back so easily? When I am so often my own worst enemy. Animal love. Such innocence. Awakening base instincts. I love you in the purest way. No expectations, no timelines. We'll deal with complications as they arise. You make it look so easy. Is this how it's meant to be? There's a magic in your simplicity. One of my favorite things about my husband, but also the trait that drives me the most crazy, is his ability to keep things simple. Anyone that knows me will tell you that I crazily overthink things. I mean, you could basically say this book, is a sign of me thinking way too much. Like, who sits and writes all their feelings down, right? But my whole family is analytical to a fault. We've grown up debating and dissecting every small issue to death at the dinner table. My husband is exactly the opposite. He's genuinely the most Buddha-like Zen person you'll ever meet. We're definitely a funny combination. But the cool thing is, I learn something from him every day. And one of the main things I've learned from him has been, ironically, it really doesn't matter how much you think. Your thoughts are connected to your feelings, of course. The more you think, the more you feel. But that's a distraction. Your thoughts are not connected to your actions, in case you haven't noticed. Just because you're thinking and feeling a lot of things, it doesn't mean that you're changing anything. You're not secretly controlling the world with your mind. And I have to admit, it's taken me a while to realize this. When I was younger, when I used to take airplane rides, I refused to let myself relax or go to sleep when the plane was taking off or landing, because I was sure that if I let my mind wander, the plane would crash. Right? I mean, that's a crazy amount of pressure to put on yourself. But how do you actually control your thoughts, even once you realize that they're not changing the world around you? Personally, I would recommend journaling. I really think writing down your thoughts helps you see them from a distance. I actually began to write the poems in this book as notes to myself on my phone because I had more thoughts and feelings that I could hold in my head. And I have to say, it was incredibly freeing. My husband has also done a form of meditation called Vipassana, where you sit in silence for 10 days without making eye contact with anyone, and you learn to detach yourself from your thoughts. He says it's changed the way he sees life. One of the first things they teach you is that your thoughts are not you. As you sit in silence, you learn to simply watch them and then let them pass. So let me ask you, are you always stressed, rushed? Do you struggle to sleep? Are things complicated at work? Or maybe with someone? Remind yourself, most of your life is just a story you're telling yourself. The only truth is, we're all just breathing and feeling. If you want to make your life easier, focus on focusing on what you already have. Keep your thoughts simple. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I am Natasha_Malpani on Twitter and at Natasha Malpani Oswal on Instagram. Stay tuned.
Look! Up in the internet! It's a meme! No! It's a cat video! No! It's the Geek Fruit Podcast!
That's right, we interrupt this riveting broadcast to tell you about our show, the Geek Fruit Podcast, where Tejas, Dinkar and I, Jishnu, talk about everything in pop culture, including DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Netflix, and everything in between.
You know how your friends hate it when you ramble about some nerdy crap and you just want somebody to listen to you? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that, but come listen to us ramble and it'll almost be like the real thing. Kind of.
Listen to new episodes of the Geek Fruit Podcast every Monday and the Geek Fruit Bulletin every Thursday on iTunes, Google Podcasts, the IVM app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy listening, you nerds.
Do you have a night routine? Well, everyone has one. And the to-do list usually looks like this. Brush your teeth, set that alarm, get into your pajamas, and switch off those screens. But here's one more to add to that list. Tune into the Positively Unlimited podcast for a dose of positive action and tips on how to build powerful mindsets. Episodes out every Monday on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you tune into podcasts.